Maddie, thank you so much for coming on. Much appreciated.
Of course. Hi, nice to meet you, talk to you.
Yeah, you as well. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, how you got into real estate and all those good things?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm Madison. I was born and raised in Miami. I got into real estate in the pandemic, actually. So before, I was running my family's franchises. So they have 3 massage MBs, and I was running all 3. And I always had my real estate license. I was doing it on the side. And then when the pandemic hit, I decided to create my brand, which is Madi Moves Miami. And everyone was moving to Miami at the time, so it really picked up. And I fell in love with real estate and quit my job working for my parents, much to their sadness. And now I do it full time.
That's awesome. So I personally moved down during COVID as well. We were locked up in Wisconsin. It was crazy. And that's why I ended up here 3 years ago. So you went from spas to real estate.
Yeah.
So what were you doing at the spa?
So I was running the 3 clinics. They're membership based, so it was still sales.
Sure.
But I was hiring, coaching the staff, teaching them how to sell memberships, doing the operations of the business, all of that. I mean, I'd been working there since I was 12 years old.
Sure.
When they opened the business.
Sure.
I wasn't allowed to stay home alone after school, so I would have to go to Massage Envy and pick up the phones and put people on hold because I wasn't allowed to book appointments yet either.
Sure.
So I've been working there forever. So for me to step into that position after college just made sense.
Sure. That's awesome. So do they still own those businesses today?
Yes, they have 3. They have one in South Miami, one in Brickell on the 2nd floor of Mary Brickell Village, and one in Country Walk.
I feel like I've seen the one in Mary Brickell Village.
Yeah, it's next to the LA Fitness.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. From spas to real estate. What's your ethnicity?
I am a Cuban, so I'm a Jewish Cuban.
Okay. You want to dive into that a little bit and share some more?
My mom is Cuban and my dad is Jewish. So I was raised Jewish throughout my childhood in Miami. I went to Temple Beth Am. I was bat mitzvahed. Currently, I'm part of the Young Leadership Division of the Greater Miami Jewish Federation. So it's a really tight-knit community, Judaism generally, and it is in Miami as well. So yeah.
That's awesome. So my understanding is that Jewish people love to work with other Jewish people.
Yeah.
And y'all kind of keep everything really tight. Y'all are cool in business that way where you really build each other up. Could you dive into that a little bit and share some of those experiences or how you've maybe seen that in the real world?
Yeah, so like we said, being Jewish is a really tight-knit community. Usually you'll either know somebody who knows somebody or something like that you can connect with somebody in that way. So yeah, and I mean, being Jewish, you are a minority, so we want to help the people within that community, but you'll find that people will want to work with people who they know, obviously. You know, that's in any community, right? But because Judaism is so tight-knit, I feel like it's seen on a grander scale. Yeah, and growing up, I was in the Neighborhood Youth Organization here in Miami, so I know a lot of Jewish people, and just being in Pinecrest, there's a lot of Jewish people that live there.
I didn't know that there were a lot of Jewish people living in Pinecrest.
A lot of them, yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. And it's right around the corner from Temple Beth Am, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm naive in this space, sorry. So,
yeah, it's okay.
Now, is there like a specific building that they live in, or do a lot of people own houses down there?
A lot of people own houses in Pinecrest, yeah.
Interesting.
Pinecrest, Aventura, Sunny Isles, those are predominantly Jewish neighborhoods.
Is Bal Harbor fairly Jewish as well?
Yeah, and Bal Harbor is 5 minutes from Surfside. Those are both,
Okay.
Those have a lot of Jewish people as well. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, that's cool. And then on the Cuban side?
On the Cuban side, my mom is Cuban, so I was raised, with the Cuban cultural events. I actually don't speak Spanish.
That was my next question.
Yeah, so that's, and in Miami, it's difficult to not speak Spanish, and it hurts my business for sure. So that's something that I would like to learn. I understand it for the most part, but I don't speak it, which definitely is hurtful, and I should learn it, and I'm an embarrassment to my family. Because both my mom and my dad, my Jewish father, speak Spanish. Okay. So what is my excuse? I don't know.
That's why I don't speak Spanish either, and I definitely...
Yeah, you're from Wisconsin.
Yes.
That's okay.
Yeah. On the business side of things, you see where that kind of impacts your business and how much more business you would have if you did speak Spanish. You know what I mean? And I was never exposed to that in Wisconsin, obviously. So coming down here, I picked up on that very quickly. So I flipped my last property before this one, and the contractors and all of those things. I got Google Translate out on my phone, and then like texting people. I'm working with a realtor right now that doesn't speak English for a client. So I have to go to Google Translate, translate it for her, send it, and then when she sends me stuff, I have to hop and translate again. So
It takes so long.
it does. It's inconvenient, but at the same time, technology has made it somewhat workable.
I had a presentation recently. So I'm on the in-house team for 782 Park in Miami Beach. So I speak to a lot of realtors about the project, and this realtor brought a buyer, and he was from Israel, and he only spoke Hebrew, and I don't speak any Hebrew at all. And so the entire presentation, me trying to sell this $1 million unit just by selling it through renderings, which is hard enough as it is, we had to do it through Google Translate. So the whole time I'm writing, this is how much it costs. These are 64,000 square feet of amenities, and he's writing, well, what's the ROI? And it's just, it was the most quiet presentation I'd ever done.
Just silence.
Like silence the whole time. Yeah.
That's crazy. Crickets in the background
Yeah.
playing. That's funny. Okay, so you are in-house sales for 72 Park, you said.
Yes.
Can you dive into that project and a little bit about what's coming?
Yes. So I'm in-house sales, like you said, for 72 Park, meaning they chose a group of 5 of us to sell the building. So essentially that building is like our listing. And that building is in North Beach. So Miami Beach is divided into 3 segments, right? South Beach, which everybody knows, Mid Beach, that's where Live is, and Fontainebleau, and North Beach. And North Beach is the last neighborhood in Miami Beach to be developed. And we are the first building. And so that's huge, right? Because that's where the opportunity lies. But there are about 12 new buildings coming. And so every building that starts to be constructed, your price per square foot increases.
I was going to say, to be the first in a location like that, that's up and coming,
yeah,
you're going to be making some good money.
Yeah, absolutely. But not only on a long-term hold, because obviously you're going to see that appreciation, but it allows short-term rentals.
Sure.
So they allow Airbnb so people can start making money now, and it delivers in October.
Sure.
So
how many units are there?
206 units, 23 floors.
23 floors, 206 units. And how many more availabilities do you have?
So we're about 75% sold.
Okay.
We have about 60 units left, something like that.
60.
Yeah.
And what are you typically seeing for like down payment? Is there a 20% 10-10, or what's the breakdown on that?
So it's 20% now. We're at contract already. Of course, we literally delivered next month. 20% now, 10% in a month from now, so 30% down, and 70% at closing, which will start in October.
Okay, so one thing that I get questions about a lot is people purchasing new developments, and they're not sure how that works. Okay. So when you say 20, 10, 70, can you break that down for the audience as to how they would approach that? Because they think, okay, I got 30%, and then I just have to come up with 70%. Can you dive into the financing on that?
Yes, okay, so with pre-construction, it all technically goes in as a cash contract, even if you're getting it financed. And I'll tell you, majority of the people do get it financed, so that shouldn't scare you. But because you're counting on the units in the building for comps and things like that, they're not subject to appraisal. So the 20% or the 30% down, that's your cash down payment. And then the 70% you get financed. The financing starts about 30 to 45 days before closing. The lenders fill out the questionnaires and all of that, and they give you your financing. They do the cash closings first so that there's comps in the building, so that the lenders can use those comps to get your appraisal. So yeah, that's a little bit about how it works. And typically these units are selling for around the same price, or they don't jump so drastically, so they will appraise. I mean, sure. And you're only comparing it with the units within the building, which is why those cash closings happen first, so that they do appraise.
Sure. So when people come to you, they put 20% down to reserve a unit. Then they come up with an additional 10 a month later. And then what I think they need to understand is that then they go to the lender. So then they reach out to their bank and they fill out an application.
Yeah.
And then the bank is going to finance that other 70%. So that's where that other 70% comes from, right. Is just talking to a lender and getting, whether it be a commercial loan or a residential loan, whatever. Yeah. So, okay, that's great. You mentioned something about 6-star.
Yes. So like I said, the neighborhood's changing drastically. So there's about 12 new buildings coming, but the 3 most exciting one, and the one that you're talking about, so 5 blocks down from the building on 67th Street, there used to be a hotel called Hotel Duville. Do you know it?
No.
Okay. So it was super famous because Frank Sinatra performed there and the Beatles performed there, and it was huge. It's been torn down. And Steve Ross, so he owns Related Group.
Everything.
Yeah, exactly.
The
everything.
Dolphins.
Right.
Somebody offered him $10 billion to buy the Dolphins, turned it down.
Who needs it?
Right.
Who needs it? Well, he bought the empty land. There's no building there. It's an empty land. He bought it for $500 million.
This man is crazy.
So with
He's
$500 million, you can buy anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
Right? And you can imagine how much those units are going to have to sell for to make back that money.
Yeah.
And they asked him why North Beach. He said because North Beach is the future of Miami Beach.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so he's putting Hotel Equinox there, which is going to be the first 6-star hotel in the country.
By the
That's
way,
what you were mentioning.
so he owns Equinox the gym,
Yeah.
which a lot of people don't really realize. So he owns Equinox, so he's putting Equinox Hotel, 6-star hotel.
6-star hotel.
Right down the street from 72 Park, which you're
5
selling.
blocks.
5 blocks. Yeah, so that's interesting. Now, let's dive into something. So I never go to Miami Beach.
Okay.
And it's interesting hearing you grew up in Coral Gables and Pinecrest, but now you live in Brickell. So do you go to Miami Beach often?
Yes.
Okay. So me personally, I feel like the beach, to go to Miami Beach is such a commitment from Gables.
From here, yeah, for sure.
So it's like, I never get over there. The traffic to get over there is very interesting. There's people that love it, and then there's people that don't like it. So I'm part of the camp that doesn't like Miami Beach. What are your thoughts and takes and opinions on that growing up in Miami? Because I've only been here 3 years, so I think you're going to have a different take than me.
I mean, when I grew up here, I grew up in Pinecrest, so right around this area. And so, yeah, it's a 35-minute drive, 40-minute drive. It's not fun. Now I live in Brickell, so it's anywhere from 15 to 17-minute drive. So it's not a big deal. I mean, parking sucks. Traffic, there's traffic once you get to, if you're stuck on the causeway, you are stuck on the causeway.
Yes.
But for the most part, that doesn't happen, and it's pretty easy to get there. So now if somebody asks me to get dinner on the beach, it's not this crazy idea.
Coming from Pinecrest.
Yeah. Although I still have my hesitations just because I'm stuck in my ways of being from down here, that if somebody asks me to go to a bar on the beach, I'm like, oh, the beach, really?
Yeah.
But then I remember, it's just a 15-minute drive. It's no big deal.
Yeah. So has the beach become more touristy over time, would you say?
Yeah. So it's interesting that you mentioned that because it goes back to the different tiers of beaches, right? So I'm selling 72 Park, which is in North Beach, and people generally are moving away from South Beach. They're moving more and more north.
Like south of 5th, are you talking?
No, not south of 5th, just South Beach in
South
general.
Beach.
South
Okay,
Beach
so
goes up to like 20th.
Is it south of 5th, South Beach, North Beach? Is that the breakdown of it?
South of 5th is a neighborhood in South Beach.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But generally, South Beach is getting younger, more crowded. I mean, I don't know if you knew the rules for spring break were crazy.
Yeah, weren't there curfews and clubs were shutting down?
Yeah, exactly.
I read that.
Traffic to get over the causeway was like an hour and a half.
That's crazy.
Just to get to your dinner reservation. So people want to go somewhere with a more active lifestyle, somewhere you can bring your families, somewhere that less 20-year-olds are partying and hungover on the street. So that's why people are moving more towards North Beach. Yes, South Beach is still very touristy,
That's an interesting, so there's kind of becoming a separation. So South Beach has all the restaurants, all those things, right?
I mean, it all does.
It all does?
Yeah.
Okay.
It all does, but North Beach is underdeveloped. So in the next 3 to 5 years, you're going to see a surplus of restaurants and bars. Like, for example, 72 Park has a Michelin-starred chef coming to our building.
That's very cool.
That's very cool. We have, it's Carlo Miracci. So he is a chef for Roberta's. Have you heard of that?
I haven't heard of that, no.
It's a pizza place in Brooklyn, and apparently it's amazing. So all of our New York investors, they're super excited because apparently the pizza is like next level.
So, all right, that brings up another good segue. How many New Yorkers are you seeing come to purchase in Miami Beach or this building, for example? Is it a majority of them?
It's actually all over the place.
Okay.
So we have a few Miamians, we have New Yorkers, Chicago, then just internationally, a lot of Brazil, a lot of Argentina, Colombia, Mexico. You have a spread out in terms of demographics and who's buying in the building and who's buying pre-construction in general, because people want to park their money in Miami.
I know a lot of people that will only buy pre-construction.
Really?
Yes.
Why haven't you sold them a unit at 72 Park then?
It's if you buy first couple units or whatever, because it's tiered pricing, right? As the development gets sold out, the prices increase. So if you buy one of the first availabilities, once you're 80% out and you're about to deliver or whatever it may be, you're already up typically hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I know people that will only go and follow that opportunity, which I think is an interesting investment thesis.
Yeah, it's a good strategy for sure. Our building in particular, we started sales a year ago. So we started sales once the building was already topped off. The developer was going to have it be an apartment building, and then he changed his mind when he realized that everybody wants a unit that can allow Airbnb and doesn't exist in Miami Beach. So he was sitting on a gold mine. So usually when you start selling, you're selling 3-4 years before, and they haven't even started building and things like that. So my point is that our prices really haven't increased that much.
That's interesting.
Yeah, like we started at our most affordable was 709, and now our most affordable is 732.
Oh, wow.
And we deliver next month.
Yeah.
So it hasn't raised that much.
Interesting. Who's the developer on that project?
Russell Galbit and Lefferts.
Okay.
So Lefferts is new to Miami. They're based out of New York.
Okay.
But they have about 4 different projects coming to North Beach in general. So
I was going to say.
it's their first, but it won't be their last.
Interesting. They definitely got some money if they didn't start sales till topping off. But again, there was
Yeah.
the change of apartment to condo, so I understand that.
Yeah.
And how do you separate yourself from all these other realtors in Miami? Because there's like 8 million of them.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, what you said was funny. You throw a rock and you hit 7 of them. Like, that's spot on. You know what? I think one of the main things you have to do to separate yourself is just answer the freaking phone. Like, nobody answers the phone. I'm sure this happens to you all the time. You call people for showings and they don't answer. Like, are you getting paid a salary that I don't know about, or are you on commission? Because nobody answers the phone. It's as if they're getting paid. You know?
Sure.
So I think one of the primary things that I do is I'm just there for my clients. I'm available 24/7. If they call me at night, if they call me in the morning, if it's a weekend, I will answer their questions. And
Sure.
that sets me apart. Is as simple as that sounds, it sets me apart.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One thing that I noticed moving down here from up north is the speed to which things happen down here is so much slower. Like, I feel like the development of a deal or the communication between realtors and client and realtor, and I feel like I could wrap up a deal in Wisconsin in like 8 hours. Down here, it's okay, let me talk to my client. 3 days later, you hear back because they're overseas
Yeah.
or not responsive or working or not that serious or whatever. So that
Yeah.
was a big adjustment for me, was just understanding the speed to which things happen.
I had a client one time and we were under contract at a pre-development building and we were waiting for the developer to say something back, and he had left on a Friday at like 1 o'clock. And I said, oh, sorry, the developer's gone for the weekend. He left at 1, he'll be back on Monday. And my friend, he was my friend and my client, he said, I'm gonna move to Miami. I'm gonna open a business that works regular operating hours, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and I'm gonna become a billionaire because I'm the only one that's gonna be working.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm working on a deal right now, and the real estate agent is saying that we can't do something in the contract, and it's holding up the contract. And we're trying to push this through, but she's waiting on her broker. Her broker hasn't been responsive for 2 to 3 days. It's going on day 3 right now. And it's like, you want to get this deal done or not? Like,
Yeah.
figure it out. Like, talk to somebody else, whatever. She's like, no, I have to wait. And I'm like, oh my God, it's just so much nonsense.
Yeah, my least favorite thing, and this happens all the time, I'm sure it happens to you too, is when they tell you that the door is unlocked and you show up with your clients to show the unit and the door is locked. And then you look bad, of course, because you're with your clients and they expect you to have the keys or open the unit for them, and you can't. And it's not your fault. It's the the other realtor's fault. But it's just insane to me.
Yeah, it's always a mess. But
Yeah.
it is what it is. We're making do. We're getting through.
Yeah.
So you said just answer the phone, be there for your clients.
I think something else that sets me apart is that I'm from Miami, and I'm a young professional. I've actually just joined the leadership board for the Young Professionals Network of Miami Realtors. So my niche and my brand is helping first-time home buyers and young professionals and millennials, whether that's with their rental or whether it's with their purchase. So because I'm born and raised in Miami, I know the neighborhoods more than the realtor who got his license last year and moved from New York.
Yes.
So I try to set myself apart that way also.
From my understanding, a lot of people come to Miami temporarily and then leave. So it's cool that you're from here. You've been here for a long time. Are you seeing a lot of transient in and out people, or what's your takes on that?
My takes on that, it's a little bit of both. I think that ever since COVID, there's obviously a heightened, there's an increase in remote work. So you see a lot of people looking for 3-month rentals, 4-month subleases, 6-month leases, whereas before it was 1 year or more. A lot of people want to see if they like Miami before committing to a purchase or to a long-term lease. But I think that people generally stay here. They do like it.
A lot of the people that I end up helping they'll like buy something and then they'll sell maybe 2 to 3 years later. But the market's been so good that they're able to make a significant amount of money. So I see a lot of people coming in, figuring it out, and then like, oh, I don't want to stay here so much. Let me pop back up to New York or wherever it may be. So
it's not for everyone. It's definitely for a specific kind of person. Miami is, but so is New York, so is California, right? Just depends on what you like.
I think a lot of people are trying to set up duality between New York and Miami, meaning they have a place up there, they have a place down here, and they just boom, 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 flip and flop. I've found for myself that staying in the same place for too long without having an external destination, whether it be like back home or a vacation or whatever it may be, I just get bored. So I think a lot of people have 2 places to keep themselves happy and just like alive and different, because otherwise you feel stagnant sometimes. I've recently noticed that about myself. I came back from training. I was away at training for 5.5 months, just cooped up, did a lot of thinking or whatever, and I'm like, oh, I just wish I could leave here for like 3 days and then go back, but you don't get that, you know? So that was, I just think a lot of people have places away just to keep a balance. Yeah,
or they travel, or feel like Miami's constantly changing, and because it's so popular now and it's continuing to grow, there's constantly new restaurants opening and new bars and new activities and new museums coming, that it's ever changing, which I think keeps it exciting, at least for me. And then I travel, since I don't have a second place. I like to bop around, but yeah.
Did you go most recently for travel?
Most recently, I went to Cancun for a wedding.
Nice.
That I was a bridesmaid in. I was over July 4th weekend.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I bet that was fun.
It was a blast. Actually, it was a blast, but there was a hurricane mid-wedding. Yeah. So luckily it happened a couple days. It happened the first day that we were there. So, and it came at 1 a.m. So it wasn't even so bad, but we were nervous, because what if we got stuck at the resort, or what if they had to displace us, or it was definitely a decision that you had to make. Oh, are you still going to the wedding? Or are you not going to the wedding? And because I was a bridesmaid, it wasn't an option. I'm going to the wedding. It's one of my best friends. It wasn't, there wasn't a choice there.
Sure.
But definitely I was nervous to tell my mom. I thought she was going to say, like, absolutely not. You're not going.
Yeah.
You're not traveling to be in a hurricane.
Sure. That's crazy.
But all was well, and the wedding was beautiful.
Is Mexico safe right now? I hear a lot of things of kind of back and forth as to, oh, should I go? Should I not?
We didn't leave the resort.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't speak Spanish, so as we discussed, so I wouldn't leave the resort without a Spanish speaker, and probably I would leave with a man. I wouldn't just go with one of my girlfriends who spoke Spanish, because it's not the greatest.
My family has a timeshare in Cancun at the Crown Paradise, but
nice.
We haven't been, because everybody's like,
well, you're safe at the resorts.
I don't know.
You're definitely safe at the resort.
Okay.
Just don't,
okay.
And you don't have to leave. They have the restaurants, they
All
have the
inclusive.
bars, they have the pool. Yeah, you don't have to leave.
Yeah.
And then if you do the excursions that you buy within the resort, that's also safe.
Sure.
Just don't go out venturing unless you're with somebody you know that lives there, or you speak Spanish, or whatever the case may be.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Right before training, I went to Dubai. That was
nice.
So cool. Such a cool experience.
There's a 6-star hotel in Dubai.
Is it the...
I don't know.
Atlantis?
I don't know.
Okay.
But there's very few in the world, so I know that there's one in Dubai, China, Japan, and now there's going to be one in Miami Beach.
There we go.
Yeah.
Right here, local.
Yeah. But I'm going to Japan in November, so I'm excited about that.
That's really exciting. If you're in Japan, like, you have to be still or sitting down or something when you're
really?
eating. I don't know if that's true or not.
I guess I'll let you know. But I feel like, at least for me, and on my Instagram and my timeline, Japan's like the new Europe. I feel like when I graduated from college, everybody went to Europe, backpacking in Europe, studying abroad in Europe, and now everybody is honeymoons in Japan, Christmas in Japan, everybody's there.
For real?
Yeah.
Interesting. There's a place called Okinawa, or Okinawa, however you say it. But there's a gentleman in Miami Beach who did a Netflix documentary it's called Blue Zones.
Okay.
Have you heard of it?
No.
Okay. So it's basically like he talks about the places in the world, there's 7 of them, that have the longest life longevity. So he calls them centennials or something, but it means you live till you're 100 or plus. So he studied these 7 places, and Okinawa, Japan was one of them. And in his documentary, he talks about gardening helps them stay healthy. They don't use furniture, so they sit on the ground when they're eating and just sitting, hanging out. So the constant up and down keeps them healthy.
Right.
And then there's mountains close by, and climbing that or walking up steep slopes, that's what keeps them young. So I've always wanted, next time I go to Japan, which we're thinking about going, I would definitely want to hit Okinawa and check that out, because I would love to live till I'm 100 years old. I think that'd be the greatest gift ever.
That would be amazing.
You live in Brickell, you said.
Yes.
What are the pros and cons of living in Brickell? Because I know a lot of people, when they come down, they're looking and they're like, it sounds interesting.
Pros and cons of living in Brickell. Pro is that it's walkable. You don't ever have to drive. Pro, if you're young, if this is a pro for you, this could be a pro or a con, is that it's very young. And pro is that and also a con is that it's always happening. So it just depends on what your priorities are and what you like. Because if you're somebody that's starting law school, do you want to live in Brickell when right downstairs you have, the get-go grand opening with all the paparazzi and the parties? I don't know. You might want to live somewhere quieter. Do you have self-control? Yeah. But, for some people that's a pro. They want to be in the thick of it. For me, location. So I love living in Brickell.
I'm a huge fan of Brickell. So when we first moved down, we lived in Edgewater, 21st or 24th Street, something like that, way up there. But we always found that we were coming down to Brickell because Wynwood, we didn't really like Wynwood, wasn't our scene. So we would always come down to Brickell. But the traffic from Edgewater down to Brickell in peak times, it's like a long drive. Like you're in the car for 30 minutes or whatever, just trapped in traffic. So I regretted not living in Brickell when I first moved down, just because of the commute. And then one thing I always say about Brickell is the bridge. Yeah, they're a pain in the butt. The boats are always going through, right? So you got to figure out which side you're on most. Are you on the downtown side more often than not, or are you on the Brickell side? Because I think it would make your life a lot easier to just pick a side and kind of stick to that side. Yeah. That's what I've found.
Yeah, no, the bridges can be a pain for sure. Yeah, you can get stuck at the bridge for as little as 5 minutes or as high as 20 minutes. So it can definitely put a dent in your day. But technically I live in downtown because I'm at the Ivy.
Okay.
So here's the bridge and then here's the Mint, Wind, and Ivy. So I feel like I always say it's Brickell because it's so close to Brickell that it's hardly downtown.
Sure.
Like I can walk to Brickell City Center quicker living at the Ivy in downtown than I could when I lived at Brickell 10 in Brickell. So it just, it's a way of looking at it, but technically it's downtown. But downtown is going through a huge revitalization now too. It's going through a huge evolution.
Yes, ton of new development. The World Center, that's going to be interesting. I think that's going to draw a lot of attention. What's that one building? I forget what it's called. But it's got cabanas on top of the pool, or on the pool deck, and the pool is just insane.
Paramount,
yeah.
Paramount has the best amenities in all of Miami almost.
Okay, so if y'all don't know Paramount, check that out for amenities. I think a lot of people say Icon has the best pool and the best amenities.
You can't even compare it.
I think Paramount has way better amenities, but I think it's a very well-known building within the Miami community, but I don't know if it is outside because I feel like people look over that. But it's interesting. Anyways, you can rent a cabana or buy a cabana for $350,000.
Yeah.
You get your own room and whatever.
No, and the Icon is beautiful, and their spa and pool area is gorgeous. And if you want to live in Brickell, then that's where you should live.
Yeah.
Or 1010 Brickell has great amenities
1010
too.
does.
Which I think those are better than the Icon also.
It has a track.
Yeah.
How many floors up is that track?
Do you know?
Maybe 20 floors.
Yeah.
So it has a track 20 floors of it. It's a small track, but you can run around it. It's nice.
They have a racquetball court. They have a basketball hoop. 1010 has an amazing amenities.
They have a pool bar too.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, that's a good spot.
Yeah, but Paramount Miami World Center, so that's in downtown, but those amenities are ridiculous. It actually takes a full hour to see all of the amenities in that building.
That's crazy.
They have a recording studio.
I didn't know that.
They do. They have a recording studio. I don't know who is, recording songs, but apparently it was needed. So they have that. They have multiple restaurants. They have a movie theater. They have a boxing ring. That building is absurd.
Brickell Key. Do you ever walk the Brickell Key?
Hardly ever.
Hardly
But I'm
ever.
excited for the new Mandarin residences. Those are going to be amazing.
That's going to be a cool building.
Yeah.
I love walking the quay. When I go to Brickell from here, it's always, hey, let's walk the quay while we're there. So that's kind of like a little outlet.
So hot outside.
I come from Wisconsin, so I'd rather
you like
die
the
in the
hot-
heat
yeah.
than freeze in the cold. But
Yeah, my roommate also loves going on walks. So it must be a Wisconsin thing. She loves to walk Brickell Key also.
Yeah.
But us from Miami, we don't go on walks.
Sure.
It's 1,000,000 degrees outside.
Understood. Maddie, how do you think that the current law change for real estate commissions is going to affect our line of work?
I don't think that it will.
Okay.
Yeah. I know that's crazy to hear because everybody's so nervous about it, but commissions have always been negotiable. Like, there was never anything saying that you had to pay 3% and you had to pay. No, it was always negotiable. So I see the pro in this is that you're less likely to get ghosted by buyers or by renters.
There's some commitment.
You know, there's some commitment there, and I'm sure you get ghosted. Everybody in real estate gets ghosted, and it happens. And so now when I show you 5 places or 10 places, I'm gonna know you're gonna sign off that you're going to buy one of those places with, or if you buy one of those places, it's going to be with me.
Yes.
And you're not gonna send this to your mom, who's a realtor, or your cousin, and use them even though I did the work. So
Yes.
I think that that's a huge, huge benefit.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing here in Miami is like, hey, let me use you to kind of do the dirty work, and then I'm just going to close with a different realtor because I feel bad reaching out to that realtor and wasting their time because I'm closer with them.
Right.
That's an interesting thing. And so there's a gentleman selling a condo, not using me, but we have pretty close acquaintances, right? I go, hey, why did you use this other person and not me? This other realtor has 0 social media presence. The marketing is like super mediocre. I don't feel like they've done a good job of making this unit stand out. In today's current condo market, it's not just list my unit and it's gonna sell, right? I'm sorry, I'm going on a tangent, but it's not list this unit and it's going to sell. It's no, we have to market it, stand out. Every unit is sitting on market for a long time. Everybody knows special assessments are coming. All this nonsense, right? So I'm like, why didn't you use me? He goes, oh, she was taking care of the tenants in my property. I'm like, so that makes her qualified to sell your unit? Like, this is crazy. Like, no, there's no correlation at all to representing a tenant and selling a property and marketing it correctly.
Yeah.
So I know that was a tangent, but I feel like us as realtors get kind of used or in certain ways, or people don't want to open up to us because it's such a personal thing. Like, we might be looking at your finances or whatever. So it's wild how people justify not using a realtor that's close to them, for example. I don't know if you've experienced that.
I have, and it blows my mind every time, honestly.
Crazy.
It blows my mind every time. Like, why wouldn't you want somebody that you're close with to help you with this? You'd rather a stranger who knows nothing about you looking at your finances and making these decisions and looking out for your best interest. It doesn't, I mean, it shocks me. I've had to stop being, like, I've had to teach myself to not be offended by it because everybody has their reasons and you shouldn't take it personally, or should you? I don't know.
I shoot them a text like, some people want to come to my parties. I have parties monthly, right?
I want to come. I love a good party.
Yeah. So I text this guy. He didn't use me as a realtor. I'm like, all right, you're not invited to my party anymore. I swear to God. Now, my belief is if we're friends, we're making money. I don't want to go drink with my friends. I don't want to go hang out with my friends and not be productive together. I want to help each other raise our kids. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, there's a huge commitment level to being considered a good friend in my book. So if you're out there using somebody else or using me and then going behind my back and using somebody else, like, 1, we're not friends. 2, you're not invited to my stuff. You don't get connections to my sphere or my network. Like, you're not going to be included 100%. And I'm very big on that. And I think a lot of realtors won't come out and say that. They're like, oh, like, maybe I'll just get them next time around or like whatever. No, I go, hey, you didn't use me. Good to know we're not friends. Not invited. Swear to God.
Oh my God, that is insanity. I mean, good for you. Good for you. And that's amazing.
It might burn some bridges long term, right? Like, maybe they would come around on the back end and then use me on their next purchase or next sale. Maybe. Did I burn a bridge? Maybe. Are there other opportunities? Yes. Am I frustrated? yes, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't seen like super long term how it plays out yet, and I don't know if I will, because I think it might be a behind my back kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, hey, Alex said this, and he only cares about business, and he's only friends with us because of business, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Like, I think us as realtors get that. So I'm interested to see how that shakes out.
Well, good for you for standing up for yourself.
We'll see how it goes.
You know, yeah, we'll see how it goes, but it's hard. It's hard because it is such a personal decision, and it lends the question of, you know, should you be mad when they use somebody else if, you know, it has nothing to do with you, and it's a personal decision, and it's one of the biggest decisions of their lives, but also, isn't friendship about supporting one another? And why would you want to put food on somebody else's table and not your besties, you know?
Okay, so talk about new construction and putting food on somebody else's table. So let's say somebody is going to go purchase a new development, right? If they have a buyer agent, previously, I don't know about the new laws now, but previously, they wouldn't have to pay any money out of pocket for those commissions. And the developer would be paying a 3% commission to the buyer's agent, if there is one. If you're buying a new development and you have a friend that's a realtor, reach out to them and put their name down before you reach out to the building, because they're going to get paid and it's no expense to you.
Right.
And they just have to show up. Like, I don't understand why people would go direct like that and not use a realtor. I don't know. Super wild. Now, if I was a developer, of course, I wouldn't want them to bring a realtor, because then I'm paying out 3%.
Of course.
So it depends which...
6% usually.
6%.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
6%.
Yeah, so it depends on which side of the ball you're on. But if you have a friend that you're close with and you don't know the developer at all, go use a realtor.
Yeah.
Like, put their name down. Like,
It
give them
costs you
money.
nothing, yeah. Maybe
It's
they'll
free.
even give you some back, like, just for doing it, you know?
100%. Like,
Yeah.
That's what I talk about. I feel like friends don't really look out. Like, some friends look out for friends in different ways. But if you're business-minded, I feel like there's so many opportunities, and you can really help friends out and do certain things. Everybody just looks over it, but just take the extra time.
Yeah,
Like,
just ask, hey, by the way, if I'm thinking about doing this, would you get anything if I put your name on it? Same goes for even a rental for an apartment building. You know, if you don't want to do a condo and you want to do an apartment building, most apartment buildings pay realtor commissions.
100%.
So even if you toured it, just let me come along and put my name, you know, because why not? Because, and also, it's not like you and I, it's not like we're in our 50s, we've been doing this for 30 years, and we have, you know, we're just starting out. So real estate, like you said, you throw a rock, there's 7 realtors that you've hit. It's not the easiest job to stand out and to build your business and to get people to trust you with selling their home. So anything helps.
100%. 100%. It's such an interesting topic. I've seen so much of it, not just in Wisconsin, like not just down here, but in Wisconsin too. So I think everybody's kind of in this same boat of like, or every realtor is like missing out on opportunities from people that are close to them or whatever. So I think it's just part of the industry, but it's such an interesting topic to dissect and dive into. So you think that not much is going to change on the buyer's side because commissions have always been negotiable and all that.
Commissions have always been negotiable, so I think that it's a good thing that you're going to have people committing to purchase or rent with you. Not only that, but I mean, just because it's not written on the MLS how much you're being paid, it can still, I don't know if whoever's watching knows this, but you go to the website that it's posted on and the commission is allowed to be there. So it's just the MLS that it's not written on. So if I call, and everybody can still call the realtors and ask what they're paying, which it's just an extra step. It's just more paperwork that we have to do, an extra step that we have to do, but we're going to do it because at the end of the day, I completely understand you don't want your realtor to avoid showing you all the possibilities. So you don't want them to not show you something that's paying 1% because it's paying so little. And that makes sense because they should have your best interest. But nothing is really changing because they're still going to call and ask what they're being paid, and they still deserve to get paid.
100%.
Because we don't work for free, and yeah.
I think we're going to see a lot more lawsuits because buyers are going to try to do it themselves. And I think that they're going to go direct to listing agent or whatever. But when I'm representing a seller, I'm representing that seller. Every property has something wrong with it. Every single property. Mm-hmm. Everyone.
Even something brand new.
In Coral Gables, if you're on a crawl space, you're going to have roof rats, you're going to have rats, you're going to have roaches. The subflooring from a 1950s home is probably going to be going. I have a soft spot in my house over there, totally knew it, right? But like, a listing agent isn't going to tell you those things. And inspectors are good and great, but they miss stuff a lot of the times. Like, they really do miss stuff. So when it becomes of best interest, you definitely want somebody on your side representing you and trying to find what's wrong with that property. It's always an investigation.
Right.
Every single property is an investigation to uncover what is wrong. 100%.
Yeah.
So a lot of the times people are going to miss that. The listing agent's not going to tell them. The buyer's going to think they know what they're getting into. They're going to have a $100,000 fix, and it's going to be like, okay. And then they're going to try to sue, and then it's just going to be this whole interesting thing. That's one thing that I think is going to happen. I additionally think that buyers are going to be trying to fill out their own paperwork or contracts or whatever. They're going to miss their inspection period. So then they're going to call, and they're going to be like, well, first they're going to be like, hey, how do I fill out this document? I'm like, I'm not going to help you. I'm not representing you. Like,
right.
Figure it out, right?
Yeah.
It's like you're so good at this and you want to do it yourself. Figure it out.
Yeah.
They're going to miss their inspection period, 5 to 7 days, whatever it is. And then they're going to come back and say, oh, hey,